Rocket Arena, as the name suggests, is an arena shooter, but in its core it's probably the closest thing we've gotten to a Smash game delivered from a different perspective, prioritizing kicking your opponents out of the map, not just getting a ton of hits into them. But as refreshing as this twist is, it's packaged with a game that seemingly underutilizes the concept and features a list of overlooked issues or just bad design choices. A month before the game's release, Final Strike Games, the then development studio working on Rocket Arena, also without a publisher at the time after they parted ways with Next in America, announced their new publisher, EA. This new announcement also brought a few drastic changes to the game. The perspective was changed from first person to third, with that also came a new dodge move, and most importantly, pricing was jacked up from the low price of free to $30. At least. The game simply does not have enough content to justify a price that large, and a part of it is by design. It's an arena shooter with basically one type of weaponry, one type of quote-unquote skillful movement, which has been reduced to the point where you just shoot the surface, and then there are only 5 game modes, which for one can be played outside of private matches, 2 party modes, 1 copy of the flagship, and the flagship itself, which is actually unique and where the game excels at, so obviously it's one of the least utilized ones in the game. In the main menu, you're directed to the party modes. In ranked, which would have benefited from knockout so much, you're entering the party modes with a number slapped next to them, which is everything ranked is here, a number. It's a joke! No matter your level, you're still gonna be matched with any random player that enters the game mode, and the sole focus is set on the objectives rather than the player performing well, with the latter affecting absolutely nothing in terms of experience gained for the number to increase. And to devalue it even more, the penalty for losing is way too minuscule. It's massive how big of a change tracking your stats or climbing leaderboards can make if it comes to the longevity of your playtime. So to not have any of them and both numbers increasing indicating only the time you invested into the game, added the already repetitive loop that comes with multiplayer games ends up making you less invested the more you play. There are also 10 maps. They're all open, very visually, but mostly play the same with a few tweaks here and there. I really like what they did with the game's soundtrack. Every map has a tune of their own, which helps to deliver extra atmosphere to each and every one of them. None of them are bad per se, although just like the game modes, one can't be accessed in pubs and one doesn't exist at the moment. But the spawns are iffy no matter the game mode or map, and some are a bit too large considering the low player counts, which is made worse thanks to the extremely slow movement. The previously mentioned rocket jumping is pretty much useless. Its effect compared to the first person POI doesn't feel as drastic, which is emphasized more by the 3 jumps you can already perform in a row that will probably get you further. Given the nature of the game, I expected this to be at least on par with others in the genre, perhaps just a bit easier, but the only things on par here are its difficulty to perform and its almost pointless effect. Almost. Your default speed on ground is miserable, so much so you look for every and any boost you can and opportunities to avoid it like it's made out of lava. Speed boosters on maps and item boxes become your new best friend, because they'll actually make moving on ground fine, which brings me to the question, was this made on purpose, or was it simply the not increase in the values after the point of view change? Did they know rocket jumping wasn't up for the task of delivering a player from point A to point B and wanted players to utilize their abilities at all times just to maneuver around at a bearable speed? Because if so, good fucking job! In that case it works as intended, but it's still irritating. No multiplayer game, no matter how restricting, will never be played in only one way, and the more options the player has, the less likely they are to be played in one way at all. This is what I meant when I previously talked about VALORANT feeling linear, forcing players to use their abilities to perform boosts, aka forcing them to play in one specific way, and it's the exact same shit here. Limiting the player limits the whole experience. Dodging also somewhat falls into that category. In reality, it's a fancy way of saying you're going invisible from rockets for a brief second, which feels a bit cheap. I think I would have preferred a slight dash to your side, because that would have made removing or at least decreasing the time between dodges more fair, which the latter is currently my biggest gripe with the move. You can dodge one rocket but no more thanks to delay, making the move which could have made risky plays more viable to being almost completely useless. I'm starting to see a trend here. Anyway, abilities are tied in with the characters you use, and you have a total of 10 to choose from, each having a slight variation to their weapon type. Amphaur can turn into water and throw nades, Chaita gets a speed boost and the ability to shoot 3 rockets at once, Izel can dash and grapple enemies towards herself, while Kai is an actual grappling hook and a big old snowball. Blink is an annoying little piece of shit who carries a Nerf gun and can teleport, but if you have any self-worth, you'd instead use Mistine, who can clone herself and switch places with said clone, on top of having the shield from Titanfall. Get the fuck out of here, Plank. Blastbeard is really big. Top Notch has aimbot and an artillery run. Rev has sticky bombs and a hoverboard, which uses to kick people, and Boone has a scope and can blow really hard. By hero shooter standards, they're all fine, but the different amounts of health and things being locked behind a dude, besides artifacts which upgrade your character, who can easily be picked by someone else before you, is just not something I'm fond of in general. As you may expect, with heroes being in the game, there's quite a fair bit of customization, resulting in quite a fair bit of microtransactions. inside I ended with a AA price tag. It's all cosmetic based, but instead of the skins I want to focus on the grind currency, which at first glance seems quite generous. Getting your first level up with a character rewards you with 10,000 of said currency, only 4 more and you can already afford an epic outfit worth a solid 761. Well, enjoy it while it lasts, cause all upcoming level ups require more time and only awarded with 1,000, becoming pretty much a drag. That's not the only generous deed. When it was announced that the game was switching its pricing, everyone who had been following the game's development before said announcement was promised a mythic edition of the game for free. Thanks to the extra premium currency included in that edition, you're able to buy the Pal Pass for no extra cost, and in theory, by finishing said passes you can experience and own almost the entire game free of charge. Look, I honestly commend them for doing that, and especially giving out the keys for the premium edition and for Steam, not Origin. But being one of the people who got to be a part of this giveaway, it's hardly raising eyebrows when just a month ago everyone was supposed to get the game for free anyway. I feel like this was done as a countermeasure to avoid drama rather than them giving back to the community, and raising player counts at launch so everyone who does buy a copy won't instantly run to the refund button due to empty lobbies. Which almost worked. Even at its peak, queue times were long, and you were lucky if you got to a lobby with acceptable ping. And that's really how you could describe most parts of the game. Acceptable. It runs well on the highest settings, which look just average, with characters having weird pixely edges like anti-aliasing is having a day off. Hitboxes are quite forgiving, with size affecting it a bit. Rockets themselves fire much more slowly than you'd expect, which is probably there to make avoiding them easier, but it's not all bad. It has DJ Atomica.
Defending the skies of Fort Rocket, the Golden Zephyr.
I even saw some guy barrel rolling off the First Street Bridge. Sensational.
I've refrained myself from talking about the concept too much because deep down in this mess there's a seriously fun arena shooter. The slow TTK makes knockouts feel rewarding and surviving Mega Blast dangers is exhilarating. Don't let the art style fool you. Your precision is being rewarded and it isn't an exactly easy game. You would never actually die in here as well. When you get knocked out of the arena you'll just float back in. This is a clever change from the typical death screens and makes it feel like there's less downtime. But it ends there. The rest of the game is published by EA as much as it should be in EA. While bugs are few and far between, there are so many overlooked or just plain badly designed aspects of the game, pick your poison, alongside with it feeling cheap thanks to the minimal content included and the content that has been there before ripped out and now backed into the live service. Not to add the weird inclusions like the text in pregame lobby not scaling, a map display that isn't in the game anymore, like they forgot to double check, and parts of the game hidden from the public. After a year of radio silence, we were met with a ton of rapid changes, and that isn't making me comfortable about the game's future. Electronic Arts' size could have brought this indie game to a larger audience and given it more resources to improve, but instead every change seems to be done for the worse and to make the game more lucrative, resulting in a cash grab. Even if the game develops a core fanbase, considering what it could have been, Rocket Arena is an opportunity lost to greed.